Today I'm going to show you how to do the water trick in Chapter 0 of Fire Emblem Awakening, and explore whether or not using the water trick is even worth doing. There are actually a few variants of the water trick, but I'll explain the most basic one for the bottom and top half of the map. So first of all, you need to make sure that you trade a vulnerary into Frederick and Robin's inventory respectively. We're going to be feeding almost all of the experience to Robin on this first run for data collection purposes. Frederick and Chrom cannot reach this Myrmidon with their movement. However, by pairing Frederick up with Chrom, he gains +1 move, then you can run over here, rotate Fred into the lead, and kill the Myrmidon with the Silver Lance. If you're trying to get all experience onto Robin, make sure you unequip Chrom's weapons after trading items. When you trade items, your character will automatically re-equip, and we don't want that. We need to avoid letting Chrom land any dual strikes, because every dual strike you land will steal experience away from Robin. Next up, Robin and Lisa pair up and move over here. You want to drop Robin to the right, so they are immediately next to the water tile. Turn 2, we're going to move Frederick over and drop Chrom onto the water. Chrom can walk on water, and Robin can as well, but most units cannot. This allows Robin to walk over onto the water and then pair up with Chrom. Now they're out of range of almost every enemy. Only the mage can target Chrom, and they will see Chrom and attack him, which is good because it moves him into a useful position and stops him from attacking Frederick. Lisa is going to pair up with Frederick to keep herself safe, and we're also going to use her next turn. On the following turn, you're going to switch Robin into the lead, transfer Lisa over to Robin. This will boost your magic and resistance stats. This might cause you to fight the mage only 3 times instead of 4 times, but this is a concession you have to make depending on which Robin you're using, because without Lisa's bonus to resistance, the mage can kill Robin pretty fast, and you won't be able to out-heal him with the vulnerary. And honestly, this water walking strategy burns through a lot of vulneraries. I do not like using this opener, because it uses way too many of your vulneraries, and I prefer to use them in the next few chapters. Anyway, if you're trying to feed Robin all of the experience, you can let Frederick stay here unequipped, and use a vulnerary to heal him every few turns. Make sure Frederick's health stays above around 19 HP. If he's on 19 HP and he gets hit with an axe and a sword, the mage will see lethal on him, and will kill Frederick instead of attacking Robin. Otherwise, just have Robin heal while counter-attacking the mage. If the mage's health is low enough, I like to attack them for the kill and save a vulnerary. This attack does have shaky accuracy, but the run just started 3 minutes ago. If you get a game over, so be it. Now you can pair up with either Chrom or Lisa, although we still don't want Chrom to dual strike and steal experience, so make sure his weapon is still unequipped. From this position, the enemies cannot reach or attack Robin, and you can safely attack them with the Thunder Tome in order to get all of the experience on the bottom. For the top section of the map, because our Robin has already gained several levels, they will have an extremely favorable matchup against the remaining enemy mage. We have Chrom and Frederick go to the right, while Robin and Lisa go to the left. I give all of the remaining vulneraries to Robin before the group splits up. Robin and Lisa will move to the edge of the river here. Chrom and Frederick move out onto the water on the other side. This is a position where no enemies can see them, and it will prevent the enemies from moving in ways that we can't control. Once that pair is into position, Robin with his Lisa pair up, and make sure Robin is on full health, move up 1 square. Now you're in range of just the mage and no other enemies. When the mage attacks Robin, this will trigger the AI of all of the enemies in this group. But because they don't see any valid targets, they're going to stand in their current positions until they see a valid target. This is good because it gives Robin room to move around later on if we need them to. When the mage attacks you, you will usually take some damage and then counterattack. Use a vulnerary to heal out of range so that Robin doesn't die. Again, just like with the mage at the bottom. We're going to attack the mage here once their health is low enough. Now, if you're playing on Lunatic Plus, this obviously doesn't work if the enemy has Vantage Plus, so you end up wasting an extra vulnerary, but you can save it here on Lunatic, and you can also just save it if he just doesn't have Vantage. Once the enemy is dealt with, we need to control the remaining enemy group. By having Robin move down 1 space, all of the enemies in the group will see Robin and start moving towards him or her. Now move back up 1 space. They no longer see a valid target, and this will stop them from moving. Now you can slowly walk across the water to the right and start shooting at enemies in range with your Thunder Tome. Whenever possible, I try to line things up so that Robin will get a kill shot if their experience is at 86 or above. You get 15 experience per normal attack, and a lot more per kill. By killing an enemy and rolling over your experience to the next level, you slightly optimize your experience gains in a way that probably matters over a long period of time if you get into the habit of doing it all the time. It's honestly not a huge deal, it's just something that I do. Anyway, once the Myrmidon and Barbarian in your range have been dealt with, you now have to slowly crawl all the way over to the left edge of the map. This is because the remaining enemies can't see Robin anymore, but they also aren't in range where you can attack them. So you need to trick them into moving again, and specifically we want them to move into a position that we can attack. By moving all the way to the left, you can access this square here. When you move down, the enemy can't attack you, but they can see you. And this is going to cause them to start moving to the left, which is great, that's just what we want. Now just go back up and stand on the water. Move over to pick off the remaining enemies. Once they have been dealt with, we meet back up with Chrom and Frederick again. Sort your inventory before ending the chapter. You won't get access to the prep screen before the start of the next battle. I like to have the vulnerary in Robin and Frederick's inventory both, unless I used up too many, but that usually can only happen if you get extremely unlucky and if you use the water trick on the bottom and the top, but we're going to discuss that in a second. By pairing up with Chrom and having Frederick and Lisa stand beside you, Robin can completely eliminate the crit chance of the boss and defeat them safely. I personally do not like using the water trick on the bottom half of the map. I think it wastes too many vulneraries, and it funnels too much experience into Robin in a way that doesn't even really pay off or generate much extra experience. Even if you're planning to use Robin in the long term, it's good to let Frederick get some experience on this map, and usually Chrom as well, to help make Chapter 2 more consistent. So right now we're looking at a more standard opener on the bottom. I have Frederick remove all sword-wielding enemies with his silver lance, while damaging the barbarians and gaining some lance experience. Then I have Frederick run back over here, pass Chrom over to Robin, and end his turn in a position where Lisa can safely heal him while hiding in the corner. Chrom and Robin can body block for Frederick here and kill one of the injured barbarians. On the following turn, Chrom and Robin finish off the remaining barbarian, while Frederick runs over to defeat the mage with his silver lance. This opener gives most of the bottom side experience to Frederick, while still allowing Chrom and Robin to get some valuable kill experience. Now on the top, we're going to repeat what we did before. Chrom and Fred go to the right, Lisa and Robin go to the left. The major difference is that Robin is still going to be at their base level, so they're going to struggle a little bit more with the enemy mage, especially if he gets Magic +2, Luna+, or Hawkeye. This matchup can be a little bit more tricky. What you can do is when Robin and Lisa are fighting the mage, if Robin's health gets too low and they can't take another attack, even when using a vulnerary, you can step down one space and use a vulnerary out of range of the mage. This is going to cause the enemy group to start moving around the river, but we were going to do that later anyway, so it's actually fine. Then when you move back up and use another vulnerary, this will get Robin's health back to full while allowing the mage to see you again. The mage will fight you, and you can just finish the battle safely from this position. I ran both variations of this Chapter 0 clear because I wanted to see how much experience you lose out on by not using the water trick on the bottom half of the map. By funneling all of the experience into Robin, they ended up at level 7 with 34 experience, while Frederick had a mere 15 experience from just a few combats at the start which were necessary. The total amount of experience onto combat units was 649. By giving the experience on the bottom to Frederick, we ended up with a level 6 Robin with 54 experience, and Frederick had 41 experience from picking up a few kills. The total amount of experience onto combat units was 595. Now, given the difference here is only 54 experience, and most of that went onto Frederick, only a tiny little bit of experience was actually lost in the exchange. I would say this opener alone is far superior, because experience on Frederick is way more valuable than experience on Robin. Due to the fact that Frederick gains experience much slower, each point of experience on Fred is just worth more. So with this being an almost one-to-one exchange, I really think this opener is much better, even if you're going for a Robin solo carry, especially because it wastes fewer vulneraries and gives you more healing in the next few chapters. Next up, I want to discuss a split experience opener, which is actually my favorite, and then we're going to look at what happens when you don't use the water trick at all, or when you feed all the experience to Frederick. So for the split experience strategy, I mostly end up doing the same thing as last time on the bottom. The big difference is that on the top, when there are only 2 injured enemies left, instead of giving these kills to Robin, I have my group reunite near the bridge in the top middle. You can drop Lisa here, have Chrom move onto the bridge, and drop Frederick. Now on the following turn, Frederick can pair up with Lisa to get out of the way, and Chrom can pair up with Robin, who is standing on the water. Then you can move Robin forward, rotate Chrom into the lead, and allow Chrom to enemy phase and pick up some experience. You can also give the boss kill experience to either Chrom or Robin. I usually make this decision based on a few factors like rollover experience that we mentioned before, but also if my Robin got several bad level ups and is looking a bit weak, I might give them the boss kill experience just because extra levels are a good way to fix bad stats. With this opener, we got a level 4 Robin with 60 experience, Frederick with 41 experience again, and the big difference is that Chrom actually levels up with an extra 10 experience left over. This is 548 combat experience overall. I have been discarding the experience that Lisa gains when I do these calculations and only looking at the experience that is being taken from enemy combat. So in this case, there is a little bit of drop-off, but I do want to draw your attention to something because I think it's important to understand this when analyzing the data. Getting a higher number in the total experience column is not the be-all, end-all. If you plan to use Chrom in the future, it can be more difficult to level them up compared to Robin, so giving Chrom even one level here can help jumpstart them so they don't fall behind, and they can continue to fight and gain levels in the next few chapters. Robin, on the other hand, even a level 4 Robin, can easily keep fighting, picking up experience, and gaining boosted experience with Veteran in the coming chapters. One of the underrated qualities of Veteran that not everyone understands is that it allows you to feed units other than Robin, while Robin will still end up being good, because Veteran allows them to keep up with the experience curve with less feeding and less combat needed. It allows Chrom and Frederick to get more experience. In the end, Robin still ends up being good without draining as much experience from the rest of your units. If you don't believe me, here's some math. If we take the 147 experience that was given to Chrom and multiply it by 1.5 times, the value that's associated with the Veteran skill, it totals out to 220 experience. If we add the difference of 73 to our total combat experience pool, 548 plus 73 is 621. Now this is barely anything less than feeding every scrap of experience to Robin and getting 649 overall. The only thing we changed is that Frederick will definitely get to level 2 before Chapter 2, and Chrom will be at least level 2 before Chapter 2 as well. This is my favorite version of the opener and the one I recommend that you use. And remember that Robin can continue to snowball very quickly by earning Veteran boosted experience in the next few chapters anyway. In fact, this brings me to my third point. If you're planning to use a second seal on Robin as soon as you finish Chapter 3 by using the second seal from the Renown rewards, I can just tell you from experience, having played the opening chapters of Awakening hundreds of times at this point, if you use this mixed experience distribution with just a little bit of Water Trick on the top left so that you don't let too much experience go to waste, Robin is still going to reach level 10 at the end of Chapter 3, and then you can use the second seal on them right away while keeping your internal level on Robin as low as possible. Everything just kind of works out. Now, if we don't do the Water Trick, how much experience goes to waste? We're going to see that now, and I'll explain what I'm doing, and I'm also going to explain the results. The bottom opener is the same as when we're trying to spread experience between Chrom and Robin and Frederick. The major difference is that when you get to the top, you need a strategy to clear out these enemies. The strategy I'm about to outline does not work very well on Lunatic Plus due to things like Pass and Luna Plus and even Vantage Plus, but it works on Lunatic and it works on all lower difficulties. So you have Frederick stand at the edge of this Myrmidon's range with a Silver Lance equipped and no para partner. This is very important. We need Frederick unpaired. He's going to defeat the Myrmidon on enemy phase. On player phase, Frederick runs forward and eliminates the enemy mage with his Silver Lance. Now Lisa moves behind Frederick and takes his Silver Lance away from him so that he can't attack anything. If you want, you can also trade a bronze sword into his hands. You can heal Frederick at this time if you need to as well. Chrom and Robin are going to move to the right of Frederick or to the right of Lisa, whatever you prefer. In this position, they can chip away at the enemies while Lisa repeatedly heals them. If you do it correctly, they only need to fight one enemy at a time, but you need to be careful with dual strikes. Make sure that you always kill an enemy on player phase and then heal back to full. Don't allow a situation where you kill on enemy phase with your attack or your dual strike. Make sure to unequip and avoid that risk. If you accidentally kill an enemy, the next one is going to move into the empty space, and then they can potentially kill Robin or Chrom. When you use this strategy, you're going to leave a lot of experience hanging. This is because you're missing out on a large number of turns of combat where Robin hits an enemy without killing them. Specifically, you end up losing around 4 turns of regular attacks against the mage and the Myrmidon in the top left corner from the water, as well as losing the kill experience against both of those targets. The kill experience does get funneled onto Frederick, but the attack experience just gets completely wasted. It just vaporizes into thin air. In this configuration, I ended up with only a level 3 Robin, 73 experience. Frederick got barely more experience at only 63, and Chrom does end up at level 2 with an extra 10 rollover experience. This strategy saves more vulnerary charges, and I could often end the map with 2 stacks of full vulneraries, as well as getting more experience and staff rank onto Lisa, but I don't think those qualities are worth giving up so much experience on my combat units. The total is 446 overall, which is significantly less even than the 548 from the mixed opener that we discussed previously. The only reason I would ever use this strategy at this point would be if I'm not allowing myself to use the water trick for some arbitrary reason. Far and away, for experience distribution purposes, I think there are only 2 methods worth considering. First, we have the standard bottom opener with the water trick on the top left to deal with the mage, and then feed the remaining kills to Chrom, Frederick, and Robin, however you prefer. And last, there is one alternate strategy I want to discuss where we feed everything on the map to Frederick, and so grinding enemies down slowly doesn't matter. Frederick is going to get the same amount of experience and the same amount of combat whether he's standing on the water or if he's fighting in the open, so all we need to do is just find ways for him to clear out all of the enemies. I'm not going to walk you through every step of this strategy, but if you try it for yourself, what you're probably going to notice is that it's very straightforward and pretty easy. Frederick is going to gain more experience, lance rank, and sword rank when you're employing this strategy, and it really sets you up for success in the coming chapters while also making this chapter about as easy as it possibly can be. I ended with a level 2 Frederick before even going into chapter 1 with 45 rollover experience, even though you only got 160 combat experience overall, including a little bit of chip experience that I was able to give to Robin without affecting Frederick's experience gains. The truth is that it comes back to the point I mentioned before, where each point of experience on Frederick is just worth so much more. I mean, think about it, Frederick got 3 times as much experience. That's a pretty big deal. And if you're not planning on using Robin at all for the entire run, you can always use this opener. He's going to breeze through chapter 1 more easily, and he's definitely going to reach level 3 before going into chapter 2. Now those 2 extra levels might not seem like much, but this is a bit of guaranteed bulk in the form of HP, as well as 2 chances to level up strength, speed, and defense each. All 3 of these stats are crucial, and they're going to change his combat benchmarks against the brutal chapter 2 enemies in a lot of cases, where the rounding does matter. You can see in the footage that I recorded here just how much Frederick dominates Chapter 1. I was even able to just give experience to Sully and Virion because theoretically I'm not using Robin in this run. And then you trivialize even Chapter 2, which could otherwise be a huge roadblock for some players. You could also make the argument that a level 1 Robin is going to have a pretty easy time catching back up on experience later on anyway because of Veteran. There's going to be situations coming up, like in Chapter 3 for example, where Robin can train essentially for free against the Armor Knight. Overall, is the water trick worth doing? Yes, I think so. Especially on Lunatic Plus, where Robin is significantly more valuable and you need to optimize your overall experience gain. However, I can see an argument for why feeding all of the experience on the map to Frederick, or just Frederick and Chrom, could be a valid strategy as well, depending on your preferences. This one is even better on Lunatic, Hard, and Normal, where Robin is less essential, and if you're not planning on using Robin at all, then there's no reason to ever use the water trick. Just give all the experience to Frederick. It is the most efficient use of experience that's not going to Robin. I think the hybrid strategy that I showcased in the middle of the video, where you spread out the experience to Chrom, Robin, and Frederick, while using the water tiles in the top left to your advantage to maximize the total number of combats that Robin fights against difficult enemies, is the best opener. Because otherwise Frederick needs to one-shot those enemies and you end up losing a lot of experience. In my opinion, this is going to be the best opener. In my Getting Started with Lunatic Plus guide, I mentioned that if you search YouTube for the water trick, you could probably find a video that showed you how to do it. Well, I decided to just make that video myself, so here it is. I hope it was helpful. Leave a like or a comment if you can, because it really helps me a lot. And for now, enjoy the rest of your day.